The Department of Transportation and Public Facilities is advancing its fight on ice and snow by implementing a proactive approach to snow and ice control by applying anti-icing solutions to the road at temperatures 15 degrees and above.
For many years, the state of Alaska has put salt in their sand, and that's what gets applied to the road currently and has for many years. Essentially how the salt brine works is the freeze point of salt in solution at 23.3% is -6 degrees. So applying that solution to a road surface that's, let's say, at 29 degrees lowers the freeze point of the road. So essentially it melts so it becomes a better drivable surface.
Brine is a combination of sodium chloride, commonly known as salt, mixed with water in a hopper controlled by a software-based computer to formulate a 23.3% salt mixture. This is then applied to the road at a rate of only 0.06 gallons per square foot, which is about 1 cup.
This particular system holds 2 tons of salt, of bulk salt that's added to the hopper prior to the process. The quantity of salt brine that you would get out of that amount of salt would be 2,000 gallons of salt brine. In some cases, what happens once the salt brine is made, there'll be an additive that we put mixed with the salt brine. It's called a boost. The boost component that's added is an organic material that contains a calcium chloride component that helps lower the freeze point of the road in cases below 20 degrees. So at colder pavement temperatures, it becomes more effective. And in addition to that, it has a corrosion inhibitor that helps reduce corrosion to vehicles that may encounter the salt as they're driving down the road.
There are 3 methods to anti-icing that are used to prevent ice and frost buildup. Any of these stages could be applied as winter weather kicks in.
Well, first of all, what you like to do ahead of a storm event is go out on the roads, and a lot of times this could be during clear, dry weather, to go out there and apply the salt brine to the road surface and let it sit there and be there when the storm event comes in to prevent the bonding of the snow to the roadway and creating pack. So the idea is to not develop that pack on the road and be able to clear it off. The second method would be de-icing, and that in that case, if you did have a little bit of pack or snow on the road, that you'd be able to apply the salt brine, let it work its way into that pack, loosen it up, and then that would allow our resources, our graders, to remove that pack much easier than without the brine. Third method is pre-wet, and what that essentially does is we have saddle tanks on our sanders, and we put brine in those saddle tanks, and that's injected into the sand as it comes out of the chute before it hits the spinner. It helps the sand stay on the road and reduces the amount of cast off into the ditches.
One application of brine can last 2 to 3 days, while you may need to apply sand 2 to 3 times a shift. Will the brine cause any adverse effects to what we do now?
Salt brine is used extensively through the northern United States and has been for many years. Vehicle manufacturers now spec their vehicles and manufacture their vehicles with that in mind, with a lot more rust-resistant galvanized parts. So the vehicles today are a lot more rust resistant than vehicles even a few years ago. In a way, salt brine is less harmful to the environment than our sanding, because we're able to treat a lot more lane miles with brine versus the same amount of lane miles with sand. As far as wildlife coming to the road because of the salt as an attractant, no, not any more than we currently experience. We have salted sand that goes on the road. The effects are what we've experienced over the last many years, so having the salt brine on the road would not affect any more than we are currently experiencing.
What are the cost benefits of the use of salt brine?
The cost benefit of putting out the salt brine is, well, there's several. First of all, the cost to treat the amount of lane miles with salt brine is cheaper than with straight sand, with the sand that we currently use. In addition to that, the cleanup of that, there's a cost to the cleanup of the sand in the spring. The sand gets in the sewer system in urban areas that has to be cleaned out. So those costs are all associated with sand. So the idea behind the salt brine is to use less sand and reduce the cost of cleanup and reduce the cost of application.
With the winter season in full swing, travelers on state roads will see a new method in applying an ingredient called brine to certain parts of roads that are considered high risk in ice buildup. This method has been in existence in the lower 48, and it's spreading like wildfire because of its record in reducing accidents and preventing vehicles from sliding.
Well, the goal of the Department of Transportation is to keep the roads as safe as possible for the traveling public. This is a tool in the toolbox that we can use to keep the roads bare longer, and also to put down to prevent the bonding of snow and ice pack to the roadway and the problems that are created with that ice pack to the traveling public. We're able to remove it earlier, remove it more efficiently with less resources. So ultimately the overall result would be better roads, safer roads for the traveling public.
Anti-icing is a proactive approach to winter road maintenance. It prevents ice and snow from bonding to the pavement, allowing easier removal by snowplows and graders. It reduces the amount of time required to restore the roads to a clear, dry, ice-free condition. Pre-wet sand refreezes quickly to the road surface, creating a sandpaper-type surface that stays on the road longer, reducing sand usage by up to 30% and resulting in reduced environmental impacts. Under many weather conditions, anti-icing completely eliminates the need for abrasives because it eliminates the cause for slipperiness, that is, ice on the road. Snow and ice control cost savings result in benefits to the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities and the public. Improved winter roadway conditions result in safer driving conditions for motorists. It improves air quality as a result of reduced abrasive usage and reduces impact on roadway vegetation, aquifers, and watercourses. And most importantly, it lowers accident rates. We have found that people relate our anti-icing to a safer road because when they see the lines on the road, they know ice is much less likely to form, meaning a safer commute. Learn more at dotalaska.gov.